What's going on, everybody? I am here with the incredible Sulk, also known as Sulk Stream. Introduce yourself, please, sir.
Hi, I'm the Incredible Sulk, John. Most people call me. I do the Sulk stream on Rumble and also here on YouTube, and also do Daywave in the morning.
Nice, very fucking cool. And Daywave is with my friends, the Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, right? Yeah, Royce Lopez, and he does Revenge of the Sith with Mersh. So
Royce is looking phenomenal, man.
He's
phenomenal.
Jacked.
Yeah,
he's gotten jacked, and yeah, I mean, like he's lost like. I don't know. He used to be enormous.
He was like
when I met him,
he was 300 pounds. Is what he told me.
He was 300 pounds at least. When I met him during COVID, he was a big puffy boy, and he's cut down a lot. Now his arms are huge and stuff, and he's really dedicated. He's being trained by
Mark's trainer.
Lobliner, Mark Lobliner. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Really phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean he's doing a great job. I've lost like 130 pounds myself too. Before.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Being fat kills you. We're about to talk about that. So today we're going to talk about how doctors gaslight us. We've gone over this lady before on this channel, but I don't think I've seen this particular video. And I just thought it would be interesting for me and Sulk to sit down and just go over this stupidity and just give our thoughts. Both from just like, because, I come from a healthcare perspective, and you come from,
I'm a little bit more conspiracy minded. I'm a little bit more conspiracy minded, but these kind of social topics, I'm really invested in. I'm really interested in. The entire view on obesity being like a good, healthy lifestyle is obviously nonsense, and it kind of plays into the conspiracy that they all want you fat and sick and eventually dead.
I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book called "Fat, Sick, Weak, and Dependent."
Well, there you go.
Because it's not. Because here's the thing: that's not a conspiracy theory. I could make the very serious arguments that the healthcare industry has done this since the early 1900s when Rockefeller took over. Like there's almost no like it. I do what I do a lot for my stuff is I don't listen to the abstract. I don't listen to the conclusions. I don't do any of that. I pull the data out and I have the data recalculated for me. Right. And for doctors not to know about lifestyle mitigation, not to be trained on proper exercise, nutrition, stuff like that. It's
basic
wild.
Nutrition.
Basic nutrition. However, I will also point this out. I did this video yesterday, which I don't know if you watched or not, but like, they'll oftentimes say in the healthcare field, well, the doctors don't need to know this because we can just refer to a dietitian, which is literally like a mechanic referring you to somebody that makes gas. Like that's not going to help your shit out. Like it's still going to break your fucking car, right? But the accrediting agencies for dietetics, for dietitians, is almost solely funded. It's called and there's Ascend, which is the actual accrediting agency for dietitians. It is almost like solely funded by pharma and big food, like
Merck and Pfizer and places like that.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Eli Lilly.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's wild, right? So I actually did a post on it today too. We can pull it up later, but because I listed off the long list of things that, and like what another thing I think people don't understand is if you break the data down too, 75% of the department of the FDA that approves human drugs is funded by pharma, like directly funded by pharma.
Well, not just that, the pharmaceutical companies completely fund like doctorate programs in the highest level schools. And so when they actually teach these doctors, they're not teaching them like basic nutrition or healthy living in any way. It's just what pill for what condition. That's the entire curriculum all the way through.
My wife and I talk about this fairly often. About 40% of our weight loss clientele for the last 6 or 7 years has been doctors, nurses, physician's assistants who can't lose weight. They just can't. First of all, being a doctor is one of the most unhealthy lifestyles you can lead. Until you become like a higher up, like an attending, you don't have set hours. You're on call all the time. So your sleep schedule is fucked. Excuse me. And, excuse me. And, they're stuck eating what's in the hospital most of the time. And the fucking hospital food, that's one of the things I used to do for a living, was write the budgets for nutrition departments for hospitals, skilled nursing, stuff like that, and oversee the procurement, contracts, those sorts of things. It's horrible. Like, it's very unhealthy, almost all ultra processed food, right? And this is where it falls in, where they want you fat, sick, weak, and dependent. And by they, I mean our government. So it's not really like, you call yourself conspiracy theories about this stuff, but it's not really, like, if you look at it, the industries that we subsidize, corn, wheat, soy, sugar, like, they're all that is used for ultra processed foods. We subsidize, like, we, meaning our taxpayer dollars, subsidize that shit, right? So those companies can make more money while making us sicker. That then makes it so that the pharmaceutical and the healthcare industry make more money. And our government is in charge of both the regulations for the food industry and their subsidies, and the healthcare industry and their subsidies. So the people that then donate to political campaigns of all of our politicians from the local level on up are from these major industries, and now to a certain degree the AI industry too. You know what I mean? So it's not really, like, I would argue that the term conspiracy theory stuff, I would argue that is like, it's not really what people think it is. First of all, they don't even know the term and where it came from.
I mean, people used to call me a conspiracy theorist, and a lot of conspiracy theories these days just keep coming up right. And so I don't know what other term to use besides that. But when it comes down to like making people sick and unhealthy, the more people that are sick in the country, the more they go to the hospital, and the entire finance behind hospitals in America is just absolutely fucked. So the more sick people there are in the country, the higher the GDP. So it looks like the country is doing better, but the population is actually doing measurably worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'll even take it one step further if we want to go down a little conspiracy theory pipeline.
I do.
2020 was a little bit of a test to see how sickly we actually are. Is enough of the population sickly that they can be terrified over a fucking cold, that they will sit the fuck down? And not only sit the fuck down, will this population that is either so terribly sick and susceptible to propaganda that they are terrified over a cold, but they will literally turn on their relatives
right
out of the threat of a cold because the government fucking said so, right?
What was that one politician? What did that one politician say? Report or snitches get rewards or something like that. Yeah. Something disgusting, absolutely abhorrent. I mean, to turn in your neighbors and your family members, that's like what they did in the USSR. That's not America. But apparently it is now.
And I believe that was just like a litmus test. One of the things, I'm sure you heard it too, because I would not from day one, bro. My son's actually on the line here too. He's in the chat, but he was in Cancun with my wife and I. We were on a cruise when they started talking about, it was in mid-March when they started talking about 15 days to slow the spread, right? So I get back to the ship. We had just been in Cancun. I am hammered. They were literally pouring tequila down our fucking throats from the bottle. I'm hammered, and I get a bunch of these things talking about curfews and shit like that. So I posted something on all my social media too. But I was like, the government's not my fucking mom, and I'm not 10 years old. Fuck a curfew. But please remember that even if this is a terribly deadly cold, something to this effect, I don't know word for word anymore, but even if this is a terribly deadly cold, the government shouldn't be able to tell you to stay the fuck inside your house, because that's giving up rights. And once you give up rights, they're not going to give them back. Somebody has to bleed to get those back. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's always for your safety. This is for your safety.
Always.
This is for your, do we care about you? Stay home or else we're going to beat the hell out of you. Right.
And then there was,
you remember seeing those videos of people not wearing masks and stuff like that, and then just getting beat by Australian cops and stuff. In Australia, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. And then, my wife and I called it the entire time. The whole stay in, but we're going to send the college kids home first. That is fucking idiocy. I've helped write, I've sat on the committees to write disaster policies for entire counties in the United States when I was in healthcare, including outbreak policies, like viral infection outbreak policies. And if you're going to shelter in fucking place, you shelter in fucking place. We took a young population who, by the data at that time in early March, we already knew it was elderly people and fat people, right? So we took a population of young, healthiest people, right? And we sent them home. We made them go home. Now, mind you, these college kids had been traveling around the country at spring break right before this, crawling all over other college kids from all around the fucking country. Then we sent them home to their middle-aged fat parents and their elderly grandparents. Like, that is a fucking dispersal method. And then we say, stay in with them. Like, so now we're locked in a fucking house with them instead of in the open air, because outside was dangerous, but inside good. Completely against any public health, like, reality, right? Then they've say put on masks. Do you ever remember seeing a public service announcement on how to properly put on and take off a mask? Ever?
No.
It is also actually relatively unhealthy for you to improperly put on and take off a mask. There's a whole procedure with sanitizing your hands, making sure you use a sanitized mask, not touching the mask from there on. We've got people like pulling their mask down and putting like this and then talking and putting it back up. Like, germs apparently don't get on your neck and shit like that. You know, like, just there was I could go on and on and on from like day one, every stupid fucking thing. But then you realize they're very intelligent people. It cannot be this fucking dumb. This has to be purposeful, right? So they are terrifying people into thinking that this virus, which, by the way, like the data in early 2020, March of 2020, showed that if you were under the age of 70 and decently healthy, it was a cold. You know, like, it was a cold, you know. And then we have to get to we have to give everybody the jab, and they're 95% effective. If you look at the Pfizer phase 3 trial on this, the absolute risk reduction for the Pfizer vaccine was under 1%. And by the way, YouTube, you can't strike me on that, because then you're calling Pfizer giving medical misinformation.
I saw your post yesterday. Yeah,
that's from their phase 3 fucking trial. So that means you would need to inject 40 million people from the ages of 10 to 20 to avoid one death in that age bracket. 40 fucking million to avoid one death. That's just the math from their own fucking studies. So that's why, if you still trust the healthcare industry, whenever and you've got to be an idiot to see that they didn't try it a bunch of times. Like, okay, monkeypox, okay, this, okay, that. And now we're about to go over how this lady has tried to tell everybody that it's just genetic. You're just fat because genetics, because apparently we evolved from the 1940s, 1950s, where everybody was slim and fucking almost every dude had abs. Like, dude, when I was in high school, like, you were embarrassed to take off your shirt if you didn't have abs. Now these kids fucking walk around with fat rolls falling all over them fucking selves. It's fucking pathetic, you know?
Well, you ever see movies from like Full Metal Jacket or something like that? Private Pile was a fat piece of shit, but he's actually very normal and maybe a little bit smaller than like what it's gone circus, like sideshow circus style of fat people these days. And I feel like this is dying out, the entire body positivity. I mean, especially with GLP-1 drugs and stuff. It shows that they were never body positive. They just wanted to be fat and not have it be their fault. But that's all going out the window now, which is crazy. It's not crazy. It's actually very predictable, but
yeah, it's very predictable. It's also kind of wild, bro, that how when you look at it, they try to make themselves on the same level. Like, they've tried to associate it with racism. Like, if you don't like fat people, you're racist. Like, first of all, that's racist as fuck to say. Like you're basically calling black women fat. Like, because they're like, especially black women. Like, you realize you just generalized all black women to being fat. like you're a racist piece of shit.
They do have a higher incidence of being overweight. That's definitely true.
Well, they also have a higher incidence of lean muscle mass too.
Yeah, I mean, that is also true.
To deny that there's genetic differences is moronic. I mean, there are some genetic differences. It's the same thing as like I often talk about BMI. BMI for the vast majority of the population is very, very, very accurate. Even though it was created by a mathematician who whatever, the data is the data, and it really is. It really is just kind of a correlation thing. But if we throw out correlation, you throw out all of psychology. Like, all of psychiatric medicine is all correlative, right? But you know, the thing is, I always say it's pretty accurate, except if you're Polynesian, Samoan, or in some way an athlete, right?
Yeah,
Because even fit Polynesian people normally register as obese on the BMI. You know,
I think Michael Jordan is obese. I think I actually register or at least overweight or maybe obese. I don't know, but I have like 6-pack abs and I can bench like
yeah.
400 pounds. So it's just,
Well, we
you
have
know,
use your waist to height ratio. If you're ever worried about like if you've been overeating or whatever, divide your like take your waist measurement right under your ribs, like right under your last floating rib. Okay.
mhm.
And take your waist measurement around and divide it by your height. If it's under 0.5, you should not worry about a fucking thing. Because
Okay.
visceral obesity is what actually hurts people. Now don't get me wrong, if like you carry like 100 pounds of fat in your fucking legs, the weight might be a problem after a while. But visceral fat is the actual problem. It's the actual metabolic killer. For most of our clients, we don't use BMI ever. I talk way more about waist to height ratio because even data has shown it is much more correlative to shortened lifespan, chronic illness development, those sorts of things, right? And you know, most that's why BMI is off is for people with a normalized waist to height ratio. And also, there's a lot of people in our days, our day to day right now that are Homer Simpsons, where they would be at a normalized weight by BMI, but they have got a waist to height ratio over 0.6 because they have almost no muscle mass but a big pot belly. And I would
Mhm.
argue that they're obese also. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
things like that, right? But give me 1 second here. All right. Okay. And we might as well get to this video before too long. I'm going to play the video, by the way, at 1.5 speed because I
Yeah.
believe you're
I'm
like,
sure we could talk the entire hour about like conspiracy theories.
well, bro, I gotta come on your show and we'll do the whole
Absolutely.
conspiracy thing. You know,
Oh,
like
absolutely. I would love to have you and we'd be able to talk the entire time and cover a lot of ground, I'm sure.
yeah, like we can get all the way into how they recently found Spartan helmets in fucking New Jersey and shit like that.
I
Have you
didn't
heard
hear
that?
about that.
Yeah, dude, they found Spartan helmets in New Jersey, like and
Weird.
the pyramids they just found in Kentucky. Have you heard about that one?
No, I haven't heard about that.
That is the only thing where I'm fucked up with is the pyramids, right? Like truly about it. Like I believe none of our history is real. Like none of our history is real
Okay, we can go down. That is a deep rabbit hole. I
because
mean,
none of it is like really none of it
yeah.
is like the people who write history are the people who get to tell you what history was.
Yeah, I don't believe like I really do take a lot of our history with a complete grain of salt because
Yeah.
it's always written by the winners and it's all you
Yes.
know, it the people who write history control reality. They
Mhm.
control the modern zeitgeist and psyche.
Yep.
So that being able to dictate where you come from and who you are. This is why they're trying to completely, you know, homogenize society and tear down statues and stuff like
Mhm.
that to make people think they don't have a history and they don't have a past. If you don't know where you come from,
Right.
you don't know who you are and like stuff like yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's another reason why I argue that they want to get rid of family Bibles.
Another thing.
Because and I'm not religious at all for anybody that's wondering, but family Bibles like it used to get passed down from generation to generation, and it kept a family tree.
Mhm.
Like my wife and I were talking about this not too long ago. I don't know my great grandparent. I didn't know my great grandparents' names.
Yeah,
Right?
well, that's kind of rare. That's kind of
Yeah,
rare.
yeah.
Yeah.
To
Just
know them, right? Like
yeah.
I had to ask my mom, and I shit you not, my mom didn't know my dad's grandparents' names.
I don't know my wife's grandparents' name.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's like
Yeah.
that's fucking wild, right? Like I mean, like
Yeah.
how to not know that? So for all we know, like we know history back like 3 generations. Because honestly, that's about it. Like that's the living know history back about 3 generations. It's kind of crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
we got to get on your show and talk about that shit because we can
Yeah.
talk about that shit forever. Um,
We got a
because
video to watch.
yeah, because you can't actually like you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but the thing you can't call me, literally in the last 6 years, as I predicted just about everything, including the rise of GLP-1s. You can check my Twitter, by the way. I
Uh-huh.
said I said in late 2021. Now that everybody's everybody's done with the COVID shit. Watch for them to push these weight loss injections like crazy. And look what the biggest drug in the fucking world is now.
Peptides are a big thing. They're a hot thing these days. Like everyone's
Mm-hmm.
taking these weird stacks of peptides from China. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually did a whole show on that. I
Did
should
you?
bring
I'll
you
have to
on
check
one of
that out.
those. Yeah.
Bring me on it, dude. now that the app is almost finished, I am going to actually be much more active on my shit now because
Okay.
I literally like I sat at my desk for 12 hours a day for like 8 months and
Oof.
wrote this motherfucker. So it's amazing too. I can't wait to release it. Hunger Free and Happy app going to be on the Google Store hopefully by early next week. Check it out. But let's get on to this now because again, me and you can fucking talk forever. Okay, so the name of this, and I got to share who it's by and everything like that, just real quick because I hate doing that. I hate not mentioning it.
No, you got to support. Yes, I do the same thing.
This is from Think Before You Sleep. I believe I've watched no, I haven't watched this one before, but I have seen some other of his shit. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm already subscribed, so obviously I have. And this is the evil side of fat activism. Fat activism. It's like this fucking two words that don't go together.
Right? If you're active, you're not fat, are you?
Right, yeah. So funny. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to play at 1.5 speed. Let's do it.
But there is something clearly wrong with the woman on the right. Not saying that she's not worthy and deserving of love, because she is. But she's unhealthy. She can hardly fit in her freaking shoes. Why on earth would we promote people walking around and looking like this? And it's honestly mean to say that someone is beautiful and all this stuff when it's like we're literally lying to them and making them think that it's okay to be that way when it's really not, because it's hurting their health and it's shortening their lives. If you really care about people, you tell them the truth.
Seems like a...
Okay, so what do you think about what that young lady just said?
Well, if you're look, I couldn't get the image of the Converse actually like straining for their lives because she was. I mean, the laces on those must be made of steel. That's insane. She obviously doesn't use those feet for any walking or anything like that. She looks like she's going to be in a wheelchair soon enough, but she's saying that I hate how it's like, oh, she's beautiful too, just because she's got a gigantic body and she's clearly having some serious heart issues doesn't mean she's not worthy of love. Look, it's not about love or anything like that. Beauty is an indicator of health, right?
Yes.
Attractiveness is an indicator of being able to pass on your genes, and is an indicator of health. She obviously doesn't have those indicators of health. And whatever you say about like societal views of beauty, because it changes, sure, right? But at its core, beauty is health. They're kind of equals, and it's always been like that. So
just so that lady, her name is Jordan Underwood, right? But she actually tried to have me like canceled a couple years ago because she actually made a video. It's funny. She made a video about how, people that, people like that size should be able to use wheelchairs. And if you don't think she should, then children shouldn't be able to use wheelchairs. Like something fucking ridiculous, like the fat logic, right? But she has lost some weight now, but she's still fat. But she very much wheelchaired herself. Very, very, very much so, and she is one of these people like, the whole beautiful thing. And again, this is not about calling people ugly, right? But when you are morbidly obese, like that morbidly obese, you abuse yourself every day. Like I wouldn't think that a person whose arms were full of scars from them cutting themselves, I wouldn't think that that's attractive either, And that's what people that size do. Like I was fat, man. I was 300 pounds. And don't get me wrong, I was eating to try to get stronger and stronger and stronger and blah, blah, blah. But I was still fat as fuck, right? And that was my eating disorder, my binge eating disorder, convincing me that I could, as long as I got stronger, it was okay. So eat those 10 McDoubles at a time, right? And that, when I look back on it, that is abusive. Like that is self-abuse, and nobody should find it attractive, like at all. And for society to label it as attractive in any way really, 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 really is kind of evil. And I say that all the time also, bro, where it's like people be like, oh, you're going too far because I have the pick of the day post, on Twitter. I point out, like, if you're going to film yourself at 400, 500 fucking pounds, gluttoning yourself on thousands of calories, you're a hog, and I'm going to call you that, right? And people get upset, and I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. I am being nicer to this person than anybody that tells them they're fine.
But you see, the thing is here, that has to be socially acceptable because she's going to get loaded up on medications. She's going to spend a lot of time in the hospital, and these pharmaceutical companies are going to make a nice profit off of her. So let's make this the norm. Let's make this the average.
Exactly. Now let's check out what he says.
You know what?
Reasonable and empathetic.
You know what? I was at Disney World a couple weeks ago, and
did you see the park hoppers?
Oh my God, they're everywhere. The amount of scooters is concerning because it must have been, I don't know, 10% of the park was in scooters. And I didn't just see the mega fat people in the scooters, even though they were, but there was just kind of overweight people riding them around. I'm like, you can't walk. You can't walk at Epcot from fucking food stall to food stall. I walked probably 40 miles in the 4 or 5 days that I was there. And it hurts walking out, but you have the opportunity to get a little bit of exercise and like stretch your legs. And you're just like, no, thank you.
So let me ask you a question. Did you go just you and did you take kids and stuff?
Yeah.
You and your family? Okay. See, that's acceptable. This whole thing with these adults that just they park hop. If me and my wife wanted to go to Disney and ride the rides once a year, I'm down. If we wanted to go ride the rides once a year and then go for some of the festivals they have, like I'm not big on Disney, but Dollywood's Winter Festival is amazing. The lights and everything like that. It's a whole new theme park, right? But when you see these park hoppers, like the plus size park hoppers and stuff like that, Royce talks about them all the time.
Oh yeah,
there's mental illness there, right? Like true mental illness.
I'll tell you what it is. It is a refusal to let go of your childhood for some weird. It's like an Arrested Development kind of like thing where, and this is not just for park hoppers. This is for people who like collect what are those pop dolls. Or are super into Star Wars, or there's a weird thing with millennials that I don't know. They didn't hit certain milestones in their development, and they just kind of stayed at the age of like 13. It's weird. I have little kids. I have two sons, and they're 5 and 2 years old. So otherwise I wouldn't be going to Disney. But it's weird how it's so common these days.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's one thing to go to ride the rides, but for the Disney experience, I find it just weird. Like you wear the Mickey Mouse hat and stuff like that. That's a little strange, man.
I know you're like 35.
Right. All right. So we're 37 seconds into this guy's video.
I know.
Let's go.
I take that no one would have a problem with. Now let's hear a fat acceptance advocate tell this person how hateful and problematic her words are.
Here's a point-by-point breakdown on why everything that creator said is not okay and wrong. To start,
it's not okay and wrong. Like it's not unscientific. It's not anything like that. Not okay and wrong are my favorites.
It's socially unacceptable in her view. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Determine someone's health just by how they look.
Well, we're off to a good
Yes, you can.
start here.
That's
Let's throw
literally what doctors do. That's literally what doctors do.
I have a good friend of mine. His name's Dr. Alan Chen, and he's a radiologist. You guys should have him on sometime too, because
I believe I've heard of him. I've actually seen some of his.
I'll do an interview for you.
Okay.
Yeah. He does YouTube. He's on my stuff on my channel probably once every 2 weeks. He travels a lot too. He does a lot of other investing things like that. But he's amazing. But you guys need to have him on because he's an actual medical professional that tells you exactly how that shit is. So it's pretty fucking cool, bro. Okay. But he's like the first thing like day one medical school, you learn about physical assessment. He's like day fucking one,
Yeah, through sight. You're looking.
Right. Now, let's listen to what this guy has to say now, since we're watching his video.
Practice and diagnosis because someone got offended by what you put in the signs and symptoms section of her medical charts. I wonder if she's ever accused anyone of spreading misinformation, because this is one of the most anti-science things I've heard the fat acceptance people say. And I mean, to believe what she said, you would have to have zero exposure to the medical industry. Even in a basic CPR class, they tell you to make judgments on someone's state of health based on the way they look.
Someone, thin or fat, could be experiencing suicidal ideation or other mental health struggles, could be addicted to something.
You mean like a food addiction? You can't visually see if someone has one of those, right?
Could have really high cholesterol or low bone density or too high of a resting heart rate. They might have a chronic illness or other autoimmune disease. Even thin people could have type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure.
Yeah, I guess, but that still doesn't prove your previous statement of you can't judge a person based on the way they look. I mean, I can literally see the lymphedema on this woman's leg, so you're saying that we can't assess based on appearance. Lymphedema is a chronic disease that is deadly if you don't treat it. And wasn't there a video I did discussing how much people who weigh that much have to worry about various skin diseases or infections that get caught in their skin folds and are deadly if they don't regularly wash? All of which you could die.
So I actually got kicked off of YouTube for about a week talking about necrotizing fasciitis of the skin folds.
Oh God, I've seen some. Go on, but I've seen some terrible things.
Yes. So if you're watching this on replay, or if you're just in the chat, Google necrotizing fasciitis of the skin fold. Click on image, and then make sure you have a bucket next to you to vomit in.
Yeah,
it is one of the most horrific fucking things that happens very fucking frequently, very, very frequently to obese people. It is extremely dangerous. It is life-threatening in most cases, and if untreated, they basically rot away. Like they literally basically rot away. And if that doesn't get you to put the fucking cookies down, I do not know what will.
Not to gross out your viewers too much, but I remember hearing this story that I think it was one of those 600-pounder, the 600-pound life ladies, right? And she has several folds and stuff like that. Well, apparently she forgot about a bit of a sandwich that was in one of her folds, and she actually had a rat chew through her side to get to the sandwich.
Sadly believable.
It is it is believable. I've seen them try to clean out those folds, and there's so much bacteria inside of those. It just eats holes in them. It's just it's horrific.
Yeah, absolutely.
Diagnosed by looking at someone. Honestly, I don't get how you can be so selfish that not only do you lie to yourself about things that you know are obviously untrue, but then you go out into a public space and bully someone who is trying to help people get over an addiction because her words make you look bad. That is what all these fat acceptance people are doing. They are harming the lives of other impressionable and vulnerable people just so that they can look good without doing any work. That's not caring or empathetic. It's sociopathic. So let's continue listening to this sociopath.
And while no one owes you health, only thin people are assumed to be healthy and thus left alone. But they might not be healthy, and that's fine, especially given our lack of access to affordable, quality healthcare.
It's funny that you bring medical care up, because do you know who some of the most expensive patients to treat are? People who are morbidly obese. Not only do they get sick far more often with expensive illnesses and have far more medical issues, but when they're in the hospital, they require beds that are like 5 times more expensive than normal beds. They require specialized equipment so they can be moved or turned properly that healthy weight patients don't need. And nurses constantly get injured from moving obese patients because they are heavy and awkwardly shaped. This person seems to pay no attention to how her decisions harm other people, like increasing everyone's medical insurance costs to pay for her bad choices.
Also, some people are their healthiest when they're fat.
No, they aren't.
And finally, the most reliable explanation scientists have right now for what makes fat people less healthy than skinny people is the abuse they undergo.
What? CDC data of increased risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes doesn't count? I want to talk to this person and pick their brain because I'm wondering how you can know so little about health, but be so sure in your opinion. Like, how do you get to a point where you can lie to yourself this much?
The fact that they're paid tens of thousands of dollars less per year than their straight-size counterparts.
Oh my God, the wage gap. They are never going to stop using it. Anytime there is a disparity in earnings, it must be because of bigotry and not because obese people cost more for corporate insurance policies and because they can't physically work as hard as someone who is healthy.
The fact that they're harassed in the street, not being able to find clothing that fits or sit at a restaurant or fit in an MRI machine to get preventative scans that you need.
You can't be serious. This is a troll. This can't be a real video. You mean to tell me that you eat so much that you can't fit into an MRI machine and somehow societal bigotry is the problem? Do you know how much it's going to cost for hospitals and clinics to get a separate MRI machine so that you can fit? Besides, if you want to do preventative healthcare, how about you lose weight?
It's a discrimination that makes fat people unhealthy, nothing else. So actually, unsolicitedly telling fat people the cold hard truth as this creator suggests makes fat people's health worse.
Wish you had a
I gotta, because I don't have my ad block on. That's some crazy shit, bro.
The MRI thing. I mean, you've seen MRIs, right? The tube that you have to fit in is it's not huge, but it's body sized. It's body sized. You can fit football players and stuff like that, but these people can't fit in those, so they actually have to like ship them off to the zoo and get them done with the MRIs they do for like the elephants and shit like that. It's
Well, there's not just that, but they talk, like the medical fat phobia bullshit is insane, right? First of all, you're fat; it's bad for you. This is not arguable. And one of the things I always pull up and I talk about all the time: being obese is bad for you, no matter what, as long as gravity exists and also the ejection fraction of your heart. The ejection fraction of your heart is your left ventricle. It normally pulls blood from your right from the right ventricle or from the right side of your heart, and it then pushes it out to the rest of your body, right? And it contracts anywhere from 70% to 35%, or 35 to 70, how depending on where you want to look at it. Under 35 is considered congestive heart failure. Over 70 is actually not that good either, because it could collapse the ventricle, right? But that doesn't fucking change if you add 150 fucking pounds to your body. The amount doesn't change. As a matter of fact, it's way more likely that if you are going to have a lower 35% or under ejection fraction of your heart when you're morbidly obese, because you're in a state of systemic inflammation from not only just being obese, but the fucking crap food you eat, right? And there's also the reality that gravity exists in the in the same realm as the connective tissue in your bone of your weight bearing joints. So no matter what, people, you're not healthy if you're fat. You're just not. Not to mention the fact that, again, you're normally in a state of constant inflammation that can even result in neuroinflammation, which does cause cognitive and executive function of the brain decline. And it's just this weird statement that people need to be true. It's like the basis of fat acceptance is like, you can't tell my health by looking at me. And as long as we have allowed that to be said, that has borne all of this other bullshit, right? Because in reality, they cost society a ton. They are being obese is a humongous burden on our society. It's enormous. This past year in 2025, we spent 5.3 to 5.6 trillion motherfucking dollars as a whole between out-of-pocket costs, insurance, and taxes on healthcare in America. $5.6 trillion.
$5.6 trillion.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
By the CDC's data, 90% of that is on chronic illness and mental illness care. Not accidents, not anything like that. It's chronic illness and mental illness care, right? So that means around 4.5 to basically $5 fucking trillion was spent on chronic illness and mental illness in America total, right? Over $2 trillion in taxes. I'll put out there, by the way, which the taxes is actually a little skewed because it's probably not all tax dollars. It's actually probably less. Probably only $1 trillion was spent because tax dollars do go to the care of elderly people who are not necessarily morbidly obese, and a lot of times have less chronic illness than a lot of our younger people now, which is kind of wild.
It's insane, yeah.
But we are a country that is $40 trillion in debt. If we were a serious country, we would not accept people being fat, period. Because it affects the cost of so many things when you think about it. The production of more food, right? The production of more food makes food prices go up no matter how you fucking want to look at it. If all of a sudden people started eating 50% of the calories that they needed to, because a lot of people eat double the fucking calories that they should. Most of these morbidly obese people eat 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. Reality exists, right? If you cut that in half, then you cut their food cost in half. And that becomes a big ass fucking deal. Like food prices plummet. Also, gas prices plummet because we need to be able to ship these new products around the fucking country. If you're like, not one fat person can say they're for the environment. Not one fat person should ever say that they're environmental friendly bullshit, because the amount of more production, transportation, fuel use, plastics to package shit that is produced from people over consuming is staggering, right? Not to mention the fact that then you glutton yourself to mental and physical illness that then burdens the entire healthcare system. It's this weird thing that we have where we don't want to accept this. And we as a society, I think, do. If you took away all the filters on social media, if you took away all of the algorithmic filters on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, even on X, the vast majority of people realize that being fat is fucking bad for you, but they amplify the voices that say it's just fine. You know, it's to make money off of. It's because the vast majority of the sponsorship from mainstream media and social media comes from the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry, as well as big food. If you took big food and big pharma commercials off of fucking TV, the entire like Hollywood complex, as well as social media, would likely collapse.
Because it's wild. Like the medical industry actually pays, I think it was for like 70% of like all ad cam in America. I was blown away by that, because America and I believe New Zealand are the only countries on the planet that actually allow for pharmaceutical companies to market directly to patients. So the rest of these countries aren't doing it, but it's just such a cash cow, forgive the pun, in America that they're pushing this.
New Zealand actually has a little bit more regulation than we do, but it also does point to a very interesting fact that we are the largest country that allows it, right? And we are 4% of the world population. We consume 50% of the world pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We allow drug ads, and we then consume the vast majority per capita of pharmaceuticals in the fucking world.
And going back to like the amount of calories these people consume, they do eat a far more, like double, triple the amount of food a person eats, but they're not eating like tomatoes and cucumbers or like lean meats. It's 5,000 calories of processed corn and soy. That's what they're eating.
Yeah.
And this is not, your body's not supposed to run off of Cheetos and stuff. So they're constantly feeling full or empty. They're just dumping it back into their body. And they don't understand that their body does not need this. They don't. There's something to do with like the triggers.
It's called the bliss point. These foods are these foods are literally engineered to like hit the addiction part of the brain. I have a bunch of people who keep telling me that there's no such thing as food addiction. I have dealt with morbidly obese people for 8 years. We once had a person almost have to get hospitalized for quitting sugar, and I'm shit you not. They were in DTs, like full on fucking DTs, like an alcoholic.
Really? Delirium tremens, where they like start shaking.
Tremors, sweating, nausea, vomiting, like massive muscle pain, like shit like that. But she was eating ice cream every day. Like she literally told my wife, because my wife was her coach. She literally told my wife that she could not be happy unless she had ice cream every day. Like she just could not be happy. And she only drank soda. She only drank full leaded Coca-Cola, like 4 liters a fucking day. So she was
diabetic, I assume.
She was only pre-diabetic, but she was pretty fucking young too. You know what I mean?
Really?
And the crazy thing was that was almost all she consumed. Like she was big, but she wasn't like 300 pounds big. Which is weird because I say 300 pounds big as if that's big, because nowadays there's a lot more people over 300 pounds than there used to be. But when we first started coaching, our first 300 pound client was like, holy shit, we got a 300 pounder, But
oh wow,
yeah, we've been coaching people for like 8 years. It has gone so far the other way. It's insane, like so far the other way. It's wild. All right. So, we're gonna get to like another 10 minutes of this guy's video before I gotta go.
Yeah,
we got to do part 2 Monday, and Monday I want to be on your show too if you have it.
Okay, yeah, I could probably fit you for sure.
All right, man, that'd be great. Well, sometime next week. You don't need to fit me.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it. Anyway.
Person said this, that I spent quite a while looking through her TikTok to see if this was a troll account. Nope, fat acceptance has gaslit people so well that they are unironically saying this stuff. And I'm almost at the point where I say, you can't blame them, because so many media outlets are lying to them. They even got 60 Minutes to put a doctor on their show to lie to people about health.
Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford, an obesity doctor at Mass General Hospital, an associate professor at Harvard Medical School, says common beliefs about obesity are all wrong.
If you diet, you lose weight, right? For many of us, we can go on a diet, something like The Biggest Loser, right? You go and you restrict people, you make them work out for 10 hours a day, and then you feed them 500 calories. For most people, they will acutely lose weight.
I think you mean everyone. Everyone would lose weight under those conditions. Not most, everyone. Now, I don't think shows like The Biggest Loser promote healthy weight loss, but if you don't eat very much and exercise a ton, then you'll definitely lose weight.
But 96% of those participants in The Biggest Loser regained their weight because their brain worked well. It was supposed to bring them back to store what they needed or what the brain thinks it needs. So willpower, throw that out the window.
She's trying to say it's biology here when it's not biology. It's them going back into their old habits after being forced into anorexia for a weight loss show on TV. Which is why I don't like shows like The Biggest Loser. This information is obvious in the fitness industry. People crash diet all the time and gain the weight back from returning to old habits. Why is CBS lying to their viewers? So when I see stuff like this, I just think, how can you blame them? This is a doctor saying this. It's on 60 Minutes, which for the most part, at least used to be a well-respected show. But what she's saying is absolute nonsense. Yes, it's true that a lot of The Biggest Loser contestants gain the weight back, but her reasoning for it is completely incorrect. These establishment sources love doing stuff like that. They take issues that have some truth to them, and they'll give you a cause or a solution that is obviously wrong. The wage gap is probably the best example of that. It is true that men make more than women on average, but the cause of that is not sexism. Nor does averaging out all the income mean that women are being paid less than men for doing the exact same work. That's illegal. This 60 Minutes report is just more falsehoods like that and lying to people for political points.
My last patient that I saw today was a young woman who's 39, who struggles with severe obesity. She's been working out 5 to 6 times a week. She's eating very little. Her brain is defending a certain set point.
A set point, says Dr. Stanford, is a...
You don't have a set point. I would argue, first of all, if society looked at any ultra processed food, anything with more than 5 ingredients in it, right? If you looked at that as not food, society would adjust itself. Like, I don't know anybody, and it's one of the reasons why that, like, the app we're developing and everything like that, it really is about getting back to getting proper sleep, hydration, stress relief, learning from your cravings, and if you binge, but it's also about avoiding food-like products because they're not even food, right? just like we were talking about a little bit earlier, dude. Like they're designed to make people addicted to them, right? They're literally designed to do so. So if you eliminate these from your diet, I often talk about that. This is like the last little bit I'll talk about this. 15 days to slow the spread of your ass. Don't eat processed sugar or ultra processed foods for 15 days. If you can't, ask yourself why you can't. Is it a matter that you have set yourself up where your lifestyle has to have so much convenience in it that you cannot cook your own food from scratch, right? I would argue, get off fucking YouTube, get off fucking TikTok for at least those 2 weeks and cook your own fucking food. Save yourself the hour, 2 hours you spend watching TV and actually nourish yourself to try to get back to health. If it is because that shit calls to you like a fucking meth head wants meth, I would argue that you should realize that means you are fucking addicted to that shit. And you should treat it that way.
It's funny because the people who go into and get these surgeries, these bariatric surgeries, they actually they have the same recovery rate as a heroin addict coming out. They have about a 5% chance of keeping the weight off, just like a heroin addict has roughly a 5% chance of not getting back on heroin. So it very much mirrors an addiction, because it is an addiction. You're addicted to the food, you're addicted to the release and the coping mechanism, just like a drug.
Yes. And if society, and we can't view these foods like this. You know why?
No.
We market them to fucking children.
Yeah.
Like this, it's the same thing. Like, have you ever seen like somebody who got all the boosters? Like, you could show them like the most definitive evidence in the world that COVID wasn't that dangerous for them because they were younger and healthier. It wasn't dangerous for their children at all, who they also got the vaccines for and all the boosters. They won't accept it, because then they have to accept that they gave their child an experimental gene therapy created by historically corrupt companies and a historically corrupt industry, a rush to market gene therapy over a fucking cold. Like, they have to accept that, and they can't. It's the same thing like the parents that give their kids puberty blockers when they're like 12, right? Like, they won't accept the fact that it normally means that the person is much, much more adapted to kill themselves than if they would have just let the kid grow out of it, right? Because now they've done that to their child. Well, this is the same thing. Like, sugar is an addictive substance we market to children in America. You know, like, we literally market sugary items to children. And I get it all the time. My clients will be like, well, I have to have these foods. You know, I binged on this. And I'm like, well, why do you have it in the house? Well, I have kids. If you can't control yourself around it, should you have it around your fucking children?
Yeah.
You know? like ask yourself these questions. And once I say that, they're like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. You know, because the chances, like, if your father's an alcoholic, your chances of becoming an alcoholic are much fucking higher, especially because you see the behavior and then you fucking then you copy the behavior. And it is a behavioral substance. Sugar. If you give a child 50 grams of sugar first thing in the morning, they are going to act differently. Just like if you give yourself a shot of whiskey, you are going to act differently.
Right.
And I just wish people could correlate this, because I think that that's one of the biggest societal issues we have, is that people don't want to realize that our industry, basically around the ultra processed foods, is one that we should view the same way we view the alcohol industry and the tobacco industry and shit like that. Like, that's how that shit should be viewed. But instead, they almost solely own the government, them and pharma working in conjunction. Like, big food and big pharma own our government. People need to accept
they're
that.
trillion-dollar industries. I mean, the amount of money they have for lobbying, and don't get me started on lobbying either, because that's all fucking bullshit too. Right? But they have so much power with the lobbyists and stuff like that. They can grease every politician, and so, you know.
It's crazy.
It's the way the system is set up. But yeah, so I do have a problem with sugar myself. I like it.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you know, when people ask me about that, it's like, well, is it something that you want to have on occasion, or is it something that if you eat, you have a hard time? Like, my wife is amazing about this. Like, I could put a bowl of her favorite candy in front of her, which there's like payday bars. Like, like my wife's very healthy eater, but like, I could put a bowl of her favorite sweet in front of her, and she'll have one portion, and the rest of the bowl will sit there. Right? If you put a bowl of peanut M&Ms in me, like, the police are going to have to come pull me off before I finish that. You know, like, and I just think it's like, and that's the difference. Like I have a very serious problem. Like I can't eat peanut M&Ms. I'll eat all of them, and then I'll eat everything else in the fucking house because it causes some sort of reaction in me, right? Both emotional and psychological, emotional and physical. Like it fucking gives me a rush, and then emotionally, I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do? And then I eat everything, right? It's my binge trigger.
Oh, so you fall off the wagon. That's
no shit,
is.
yeah.
That's falling off the wagon.
Dude, I keep track. I don't have it pulled up, but I keep track of my binges on like my app actually keeps track of my last binge. I'm like 1908 days today, no binge. I keep track of it like it's alcoholism.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I don't drink normally, but like if I'm out getting drinks, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drink.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink. You know,
Right.
I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way.
So listen, I hate to do this, man, but we talked an hour. We only got like 5 minutes into this show. But I want to have you back on Monday if you can work it on my show. We'll finish this. I promise you, motherfuckers, we'll finish this.
Sure.
We'll finish this, and then me and you will talk offline, and we'll work out when I can come on your show. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Tell everybody where they can find you because I do need to get running. I got shit I gotta do.
So on YouTube at Sulk Stream is my YouTube channel, and on Rumble I'm the Incredible Sulk, all one word, SULK. Yeah, pop on in, join the chat.
All right. And everybody, thank you very much for coming on. We will be back on Monday to finish up this thing, and we will do part 2. Goddamn.